him, like, because he's facing 20 years, right? On those 2 counts.
Yeah, 10 years for each.
10 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's going to do anything near that, only because this is a first-time offense. So I think that with the time served, probably going to get like a year, maybe 2 years. I don't think anything past that, though.
I mean, at this point, anything is possible. Anything is possible. But the fact that you could face up to 10 years for each, you can't assume that you won't get the 10 years. You just have to pray and hope that you don't. Like you said, some of this could be time served. Some of this could be probation. There can be, when your sentence can be a hybrid. It could be a mix of things, kind of like Young Thug, right? Young Thug, it was time served, and as long as you don't do anything for the next 20 years, which I've never heard of a probation.
Young Thug was a bad deal.
Well, because now he has to be on his best behavior for 20 years.
He can't even
make him go back and serve that time.
With gang members, he can be violated immediately with other gangs. And you know, rappers are gangs. Like, and Brian Steele, even though he was added to Diddy's team late in the game to help, you know, to facilitate a possible deal in case they needed to make one. Like, like Young Thug did not get a good deal. He should have added Young Gunna's lawyer.
But you got to remember, even though we know that it's technically a bad deal, because who wants to be on 20 years of probation and walking on?
Hell no.
He looked at it as a good deal because he just wanted to go home. And you have to keep in mind, even with Diddy just wants to go home. He's already asked the judge through his lawyers, can I go back to my Miami house while we wait for sentencing? He just wants to be out of jail. When you've been in jail, when you've lived a high life for that long, and all of a sudden you're put at your lowest point, you will be surprised what people will agree to. So we'll see what the sentencing is going to look like. Again, I don't really think he's going to get the full 10 years for each, as Maverick says. I mean, if he did, that would, I would be surprised. I would be very surprised, because you have to remember, with sentencing, this is where your character letters come in, your support letters come in. This is where the judge reads the letters from your family, your friends, and your colleagues. They take all that into consideration before they sentence you. So I do think, no, you don't walk away from this completely. I see this being a mix of maybe probation, time served, potentially some jail time. And don't forget, this is a federal charge, right? So let's talk about the fact that Donald Trump could pardon him. Donald Trump could pardon him. So even if he
I was going to say that still could be a possibility. He still could get a pardon because it's so minor. And listen, you got dragged yesterday, Jay Carter. I don't know if you know, when they said you were team sucking Diddy's dick. They said you were team Miami, saying he looked good in the courtroom, girl.
I saw why though. Give me a break. I'm here. Look, I'm here about justice and fairness, right? I think they thought Tasha and I were Team Diddy. It wasn't so much that we were Team Diddy. I'm going to make this clear. I am Team Justice and Fairness. You don't take a state crime and then you try to make it a federal charge. They from day one. I have a problem with that. It's a square in a circle.
It's Diddy's miniature, because they say he got a mini. That's why he would hire workers to do the business, because he had a micro. And I know guys anyway with high estrogen levels like Diddy. You know what I'm saying? That's why he always had to have BBLs and breast reductions and stuff. And he got wide hips and shit. When you got wide hips, you have an estrogen dominance. And that's why people would think that he was, kind of, gay or whatever like that. But they say he would hire. I got to ask one of the sex workers that came on the size of Diddy. But Maverick, real quick. You never did you feel like Diddy should have gone to jail? Do you feel like justice was served, Maverick?
I feel like this. I feel like it's one big show to me.
Okay.
This whole thing, again, I think people have to look up the ladder. I think there's more components to this thing that people aren't thinking about. People will focus on the baby oil and all the frivolous stuff. Whatever happened to the minors that was involved?
But people it wasn't presented at trial, though.
That's what I'm saying.
What was presented at trial. So I hear what you're saying, Maverick.
It was a lot of distractions.
There are other things that could have been included, but it wasn't. So answer the question. I'm going to put you on the stand. Answer the question directly. Based on what he was found guilty of, paying prostitutes to come across state lines, do you think it was fair that he was found guilty?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
And
but
that's
what
how
about the
I feel. I
RICO?
think that was fair.
But what
That's
about the
moving.
RICO though? When you look at the charges as just black and white, that's all I'm saying. I'm an adult. I'm 43. I pay my taxes, right? Okay. When you look at the charges as they could have probably brought him up. They could have got a lot of stuff on Diddy, but they chose to focus on this part. Okay. Because they thought it was a slam dunk case. And besides, they started their investigation before they even brought an indictment and did a press conference before they brought the indictment when they sent the Homeland Security in to go raid his homes. So that right there, it makes it impossible to find a jury who hasn't really, seen anything in terms of the case. So the feds kind of know what they do when they're using the media to help drive a home run. So if they do end up putting a jury in place, they know that they've heard a little bit about Diddy. So it is impossible, especially with social media everywhere. And so I think they thought that with everything that they had drove and everything that they had put out using, mainstream media, that this was going to stick. And so
I think this, to be honest, people forget he's a billionaire. They don't live by the same rules and the same game that everybody else does. If this was some regular guy, he'll get life in jail easy. Okay, so that's one thing. Two, when they raided his house, he just conveniently wasn't home when they raided the house. This is what I'm saying. So, like, again, with the tapes, with people being on there, politicians, athletes, like all these people of interest, they're going to be, involved to where this. It's like, well, they're not going to be, they don't want to get found out. This is what I think.
And we're not saying that that's not
true. I think this.
Go ahead.
They had to get him.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying they had to get him on something, a slap on the wrist to get those tapes. And again, Mike Jeffries, who's also from New York, he gets off, right? Abercrombie & Fitch, former CEO. So as soon as Diddy went to jail, what happened? Mike Jeffries gets indicted. You had the mayor of New York get indicted.
And he just won. It's Trump. His shit is gone. I forgot what happened to that, so don't get me quoting wrong. But go ahead.
You have to remember the reason why they got indicted right after Diddy, just as a clarification, Maverick, because they were all being indicted under that renewed rule for victims. So basically, if the statute of limitation had passed, you couldn't file anything. Right, those civil cases. Right. So you have to keep in mind on the civil side, you saw all these things coming down because you had civil lawsuits being paralleled with federal lawsuits, all coming down because of this renewed statute. So,
and that's another thing too. He still got to fight civilly these cases.
Right. And I think we're going to see
he just had 2 filed on Friday by a man that says that Diddy had climbed on top of him and was like, you ready to get this Diddy love, after he drugged him allegedly and met some guy at a gas station, and he took him to the party. Next thing you know, they gave him a drink and Diddy was climbing on top of him, according to him. And then there was a woman that said she was gang raped by Diddy and his son. And so by the son, but Diddy watched. Mm-hmm. So Diddy didn't touch her, but the son ain't got no money. Diddy got the money. So I think they just found a way to kind of tie him in. So he has a long road ahead with these civil cases and things like that. We're going to take a question. You guys are ready to take questions from callers before we load up our first celebrity guest here shortly. Who's the first? Fax. What's your name? And where you calling from, Fax?
Hi, how you doing? I'm calling from Texas.
All right.
Yeah, my question is, how is it that everybody smooth looked over the fact that the minute he called Trump a racist, that's when all this started? Right before he said he was about to start doing things in the black community, then suddenly all of this stuff started. He filed the lawsuit against the liquor company. It's bigger than that. This is another black man being hoodwinked by the system, and they keep doing it to us over and over again. They get the media involved, tell all these lies. They had us thinking this man was trafficking children across state lines. That's where the outrage came from. That's why everybody was so pissed off. But none of that came out in the trial. Why? Because it was lies. Again, this is another case of the same thing. So my question is, why is it that nobody is seeing what's really happening?
Okay.
People do.
Thank you so much, Fax. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jay Carter. Go ahead and answer, and then Maverick, you follow. Go
I
ahead.
think they're seeing it as Maverick is saying. Maybe not everyone's seeing it, but I think overall people are seeing it. But to your point, this is why this is such a historical win, because it sets the precedent. Because think about it. This is why I think would it 50 Cent just congratulate Diddy and called him, I think he called him the gay guy, Irv Gotti. The reason why he said that was because Irv Gotti also beat the feds on a RICO charge, right? So the fact that Irv Gotti beat them on the RICO charge, Diddy has beat them on the RICO charge, it is setting the precedent. If you come after our black entertainers, our billionaires, with this RICO nonsense, if you want to charge them statewide, go right ahead. You want to charge them for all the state crimes and all the terrible things to do, have at it. But if you pull this mess again and bring this into federal court, when you know it does not belong in federal court, you are not going to get the conviction you're seeking. And so if that makes me Team Diddy, then that makes me Team Diddy. I don't think I'm Team Diddy. I just think at the end of the day, you should not be charging someone federally if it is a state crime. And I'm going to stand by that.
All I know is Carisha finna be walking around downtown Miami smelling real pissy for the next 2 months. She got a lot of making up to do, okay? She's the freak off girl. She's the ride or die. Go ahead, Maverick.
Goes home right away.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Diddy's a Fed, to be honest. I think he's a Fed. And even Kanye said it a couple years ago. Kanye, he was saying that, yeah, Diddy, you fucking Fed and all this other stuff. So I think that he's given information. I think he has a lot of dirt on a lot of people. He is the Black Epstein for sure. Because you don't run around for that long having all these tapes and all these freak offs and all this stuff going on with celebrities, high powered people, and you don't have anything. So you're definitely running some type of blackmail ring. So that works to your advantage when you get pinched. So, of course, he's going to get hit with these, frivolous charges and whatnot, because they're making an example out of him. You have to stay in line. Otherwise, we're going to hit you with some real shit next time. So, he's not going to get any serious time, but he has information for sure. And I think that when, again, you're playing a different game when you're a billionaire running around in these circles. So I think that, yes, she's correct as far as, looking up the ladder and whatnot. I think that, they're going to, give him a little bit of time. But again, this is bigger than him because there's other people involved. And yes, we're going to see some civil stuff going on. They're going to go after his money. And here's my prediction. Here's what's going to happen. After all this is, the smoke clears, guess what's going to happen? Diddy's going to go to the church. He's going to go to TD Jakes' church and start going to, these mega churches, because that's the only way to clean up your name. So TD
you think
Jakes,
he gonna give his life to Christ and just
yes,
he gonna retire the baby oil? He gonna say
he is. TD Jakes, power bottom. He already stepped down. All right. And then he's gonna go take over TD Jakes' church. All of a sudden, TD Jakes doesn't know Diddy. Oh, I met him one time. Really? I stopped by his birthday party for 30 minutes. Oprah, you too. So, and that's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't look. Black people, we have to start holding other Black people accountable. I'm tired of this race card thing to where they're doing nefarious shit and we're just looking the other way. Okay?
I forgot everything you said when you said power bottom.
Don't do Teddy that way.
I forgot everything you said. He gonna cut out. Teddy done left Black women for white women now. What you talking about?
I'm just saying.
Listen, we're gonna take another caller real quick. Who's backstage? Thomas? Timeless. Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Charlotte.
All right, shout out to Charlotte. So what are your thoughts on what just happened? Diddy beat them crackers in the Fed case. What's up?
I have to agree with Maverick when he says our community has to start holding our people accountable. You got people in front of the court yelling a Black man being attacked and all this mess. We saw with our own eyes on TV, this man beating up Cassie, kicking her like she was a rag doll, treating women like a piece of meat. And they own them. And then these Black people sitting on here being outraged how you attacking this person. You put them in jail for a year for nothing. For nothing? You got rape, you got beating kids, drugs, all this other stuff. Okay, yeah, it may have not been the bigger charges, but it was 4 that he was charged with. 2 he was found guilty of. So how about let's hold them accountable for that as a community? Yeah, we don't tolerate. Let them know as a Black community there's certain things we don't tolerate with our own people. When we gonna start having respect for our own people and stop with this foolishness of, oh, we attacking a Black man. As long as it ain't touching you, it's okay. But when it touch your family, you out on the TV crying.
Yep. And then we're moving the goalposts because we're moving the goalposts. Because why is it that Tory Lanez is still in jail, you guys? His DNA was never found on that gun, but he's still in jail.